Welcome to the Exceptional One channel. Today I'm gonna make a video about how to be a great striker. But before I start this video, make sure you watch the entire video, and gonna do a small presentation right after that to show you how to be a great midfielder, right? So also make sure you comment down below, let me know what you think of the video, and also share it, like, subscribe with everyone else. So when you're sharing it, you just never know. Even if you already know a lot about this video, just make sure you share it with somebody else, because this video will always educate other people. So let's start into this video. So today I'm gonna make, it's about how to be a great midfielder. I made a video before about how to be a great striker. So I'm gonna go from striker, then midfield, then I'm gonna do another video about defense as well. Okay, so when it comes to midfield in soccer, it's two components to it. So it's offensive or defensive midfield. So offensive midfield is two, usually constitute of two wingers, left and right wing, and a playmaker. Then you have a defensive midfield. So he just like defending the whole midfield, any offense coming from the opposite side. So all of them have different roles, right? So left winger is, you make sure you stay on the left wing, but you have to be quick and you have to defend as well. But the main role of a left winger is whatever you have to do, accelerate, play quicker, and then cross from the left side to the striker, right? And the right wing as well. So you crossing it from the right wing, you have to dribble, accelerate, and cross it to the striker. Whatever you have to do, that's your role. And the playmaker plays behind the two strikers, so you are feeding the ball to the strikers, right? That's the playmaker. And the defensive midfield, nowadays sometimes some teams just want to be all technical or fancy about it. They call it holding midfield. Just keep it simple. It's the defensive midfield, right? But the thing is, a lot of teams I've been watching, even professional teams, like they are playing now different system in the midfield, and you realize that the playmakers are even disappearing. You don't see playmakers like you used to see before, like when you watch teams like Barcelona or Manchester United, Liverpool. Back in the day, they used to have playmakers, but nowadays we barely see playmakers. One of the top playmakers right now in the game, I would say, is Kevin De Bruyne, right? If you want to be great, watch Kevin De Bruyne. So midfield play a big role in soccer. Midfielder, they attack and they defend. So if you have a bad midfield, here's what's going to happen. Most of the time you will see the defense will not even last, right? Because any threat that comes in, you need to make sure you stop it from the midfield to give your defenders a chance to recover, catch their breath, right? You can watch any professional teams. Every time you see the game started, it's 45 minutes each half, right? And you see about 5 or 10 minutes, and the defenders, all of them, they have their hand on their hips. That's a big sign right there. The midfielders are not doing their jobs. Okay, so everybody has a different role to play. When you are wingers, you attack, you defend. But I can understand it's hard on the wingers to be going back and forth, but usually that's why you always have to communicate. Remember I said before, in a game of soccer, communication is key. Whether you are defender, whether you are midfield or striker, you always have to communicate. Strikers communicate with their wingers and the playmaker, right? midfield also to communicate with the strikers and the defense, because sometimes the defenders see the field better than even the midfielder. But when I used to play, when I was still a kid, I always learned that we always have like a different, you know how you have a captain, a main captain on a team, we have a captain for like a different position. So we have our center back who was the captain, we have a defensive midfielder who was a captain, and then we had the offensively, we had the playmaker who was a captain. So the playmaker was always directing players how to open up, how to get the ask for the ball, and the defensive midfielder was controlling the midfield, so he makes sure that who goes up, who's covering for who, right? So if the wingers are going up, they're attacking, then he will know who will stay to help him defend, right? So you can have two midfielders, central midfielder, sometimes you have one, depend on the position, right? But so that's how it goes. So offensive midfield, defensive midfield. And we were always, when you have like somebody who's always in charge, when I used, back in the day, I used to play like a defensive midfield. So if one winger wants to go up, I control everything. So if the left winger wants to go up, I make sure the left wing, as soon as he goes up, I'll always make sure he has to drop back and defend. But while he's going there, I make sure the right back doesn't go up. I need somebody to help me defend in the midfield, right? So we always communicate, and then vice versa. If the right winger goes forward, then you make sure maybe the left winger stays with you, because sometimes you already have two strikers up front, right? So sometimes you don't need too many people so forward. So you always need to make sure, like, once you attack or you go forward, somebody's always covering for you. So I hope you like this video so far. So I'm going to show you a demonstration here, and on a field here. It's not like a regular field, but I'm just going to use this drawing board to explain how the positioning in the midfield works. So I hope you like this video. Make sure you share it with everybody who's interested, someone who knows, who's learning to play the game, or somebody who doesn't even have like a clue. So just share it, because you never know who's gonna like the video. And if you have something else to add, make sure you let me know in the comments. So thank you for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. So here's an example of I'm just going to use half of the field here for this demonstration. So to be a great midfielder, first of all, you need to understand different position as a midfield. So in the midfield, you have two components, either offensive midfield or defensive midfield, right? So the offensive midfield usually are wingers, right wing. So let's say this one, this is, let me zoom in here. So right wing here on the right wing, right side, and then you have the left wing here, then you have the playmaker here in the middle. So, and then you have so offense and defense. So left wing, playmaker, and then the right wing, those are all offense. And then you have the usually one here in the middle playing defensive role in the midfield, which is called defensive midfield. Nowadays they keep changing the name. It's like holding midfield. It's just, we just keeping it simple here. It's defensive midfield. That's it. So if you I decided to do this video because sometimes I play with people and you tell them play holding midfield and they don't know what it is. But when you tell them defensive midfield, offensive, it makes more sense to them. So we're keeping it simple here. So you have offense and defensive midfield. Now, all of these guys have a different roles. So you have a left wing. All he has to do is make sure whatever he has to do, make sure he gives the ball to the strikers, right? So they have to usually go fast. You move along the sideline, right, quickly, and then cross it from the left for the striker to score, and then the right wing also to make sure like he accelerate quickly, create space there, and cross it from the right wing for the striker to score. And also the playmaker is always playing behind the strikers, right? So the playmaker always have to be in sync with all the wingers and the striker, but mainly he plays with the strikers, right? So the striker, every time the playmaker got the ball, strikers need to always make themselves available. So they have to open up for the playmaker to give them the ball, right? So that's how it is. So it's just that a playmaker is just like a center back, like in the defense. The center back controls everything, right? The whole defense. I'll do a different video about the defensive side of that. And then the wingers also, like I already said. So they all have to be in sync with their defensive midfield as well. But the defensive midfield is, if all these wingers and the playmaker they go forward, the defensive midfield is just, his job is to stay here, make sure he covers for all these offensive players who go forward to do all the dirty work, right? It's a dirty job. So if the other opposite team, they get the ball, they trying to come score, the defensive midfield had to make sure like they don't cross the midfield, right? So defense, I mean the defense, the midfield is very, very, very important, right? It plays both roles for offense and defense. So every time you have a bad midfield, the defense is going to suffer, right? If you want your defenders to last long, the defense has to be good. So that's why you see a lot of games, you see a lot of defenders yelling at the midfield, right? Because they are not covering. So especially the defensive midfield, he has a lot of work to do. So that's why the field is so big that if all these guys, wingers, left and right wing, playmaker, they all go forward, nobody comes back, drop back to defend to help the midfield, defensive midfield, there's no way he's going to last. So I just wanted to for you to have an idea of what midfield is. So nowadays, when I even play with people, I tell them specifically, play on a left wing, play on a right wing, play as a center, like a central defender, central midfield, okay? Play as a playmaker. Things like that just make sense for them, right? Again, on top of different roles, the right wing and left wing, they still have to drop back and defend as well, right? So this is critical to understand what midfield is. Nowadays, you have so many teams, they are bypassing the playmaker role. Very, very small team, you will know they have playmakers nowadays. Maybe 5-10 years ago, playmaker was very, very essential, right? So teams like maybe Man City, Manchester City, you have somebody like Kevin De Bruyne, he's the playmaker, right? He's a playmaker of that team. So playmaker is a very, very crucial role. When you look at teams like Tottenham, they don't have the playmaker, right? Manchester United, I think supposedly is supposed to be Pogba, but again, he's not really playing that role well, But Kevin De Bruyne, for sure, that's a playmaker right there. Even when you look at even my team, Liverpool, they don't have a playmaker, right? They always play false number 9, false 10, and you see all that is catching up to them, So you really need a playmaker that will distribute the ball to the strikers, right? So when they are all in sync, it's a beautiful game to watch, So make sure you understand the role of midfield. So even if you have a kid you want to teach them, or somebody who want to learn, make sure you send them this video, share it with them, and then I can if they need more illustration they can comment, let me know in the comment. I can go maybe a little slower. This one is for like more advanced explanation. This is for like an adult, so maybe later on I will do one for kids and I will talk a little slower. This one is a little difficult for kids to understand, you know. So I hope you understand this video. So let me know what you think of it. Okay, thank you.